Joining us on North Texas Networkers. I'm Caralee Gurney.
And I'm Stacy Revely.
We're glad to be here with you today, and also want to give a shout out to Craig Strank for sponsoring our show with Willow Bend. And today we have Ruby Care, and with us we have Joyce Logan and Patty Williams. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, ladies. Glad you're here this morning. And we're just going to start out by just telling us a little bit about yourselves individually. So, Joyce, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and where you live and all your interesting information about you?
Well,
everything.
Everything. I'm not going to tell you how old I am now.
That's we only have.
Right. I live in Plano, Texas, but I'm originally from Ohio, but I've lived in Texas more in my life than I did in Ohio. So I guess I call myself a native now.
A native.
So yeah.
Even though you're a Buckeye.
I am definitely a Buckeye. OHIO. So let's hope they go all the way to the national championship win. But that Joe Burrows, oh my gosh, what a shout out to him. He is an amazing person, even though he plays for LSU.
Right.
So, but I live in Plano, and I'm married to Stan Siebenthal. We don't have children. We have a dog named Sully, and he is a big mess. He is a huge mess, but we love him. And so that's a little bit about me.
Very good. And Patty, welcome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I live over in the other side of the Metroplex. So I'm in the Colleyville, Grapevine area.
So West Texas.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I was going to say the other side of the tracks, but
well, you could say that, but it does seem kind of far from here sometimes. But I live there, and my husband and I have been married 13 years. So he has 2 sons, and out of those, we have 3 grandchildren, which is awesome. And so that's really, our life's blessing right now. And we do have 2 dogs and a cat too. So we keep ourselves busy. Yeah.
So Ruby Care is an awesome service that you guys provide, complimentary for senior living and assistance, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what it is.
Well, Ruby Care Senior Living Advisors, we are a placement referral company. We help families find senior living communities such as independent living, assisted living, memory care, residential care homes, and we cover the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have a team of 5 that helps us with this search because we've been around since 2016, August 2016, and we have grown, and it's a great service that provides a lot of hands-on assistance to the families.
Very good. And how did you guys meet? Tell us a little bit about that.
Joyce and I?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we've been friends since 2004, I guess, right? That's when I moved to Texas. She was one of my first friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was, if there's anybody I would want to do a business with, it's Joyce. And we met because we were doing a charity walk. And we all went to breakfast together afterward. And she said, I like breakfast, And we were both single at the time.
Right. There were a group of us, like 8 or 10.
Yeah.
So we were just sitting there chatting, and I think Patty said something about she liked to go to movies. I said, I like to go to movies. And then another thing, so then I said, hey, you want to go out tonight?
Yeah.
You want to be my friend?
Yeah. We basically had a date that night.
Check yes or no.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I have a convertible, and so we took that convertible down, was it the tollway? And it was a beautiful night. So we were just having so much fun, and our hair was blowing, and we were like Thelma and Louise. It was great.
Absolutely.
Why does this not surprise me?
Yeah, exactly. It was very fun. But it was the beginning of a great friendship, and now a great partnership in business.
So how did that partnership start? What started Ruby Care?
Well, it all began when I helped my mother-in-law Ruby find a senior living community. She lived in a little town in East Texas, and her husband passed, and it probably was a couple years after that. She said, it's time that I move to Plano to be near you guys, so you can kind of see me more and oversee my care. So she started I think we started about in 2013. We started the search. I went online at first, and I didn't like the service I was getting, so that's when I decided to do the search on my own. And so Ruby would come to town. We made it like a little fun project for 2 years. It took before she made that final decision to move here.
So I think we have a picture of Ruby in there. Do you have that, Anna? There's Ruby.
That's her. She was at the voting polls. They brought if you guys haven't seen it, her mobility's not very good. So they brought the tablet, the machine out to her. So, she's so sweet. There she is there.
So pretty.
Yeah, that picture is probably about 3 years old, but
so Stacy and I had the pleasure of meeting her the other day because we got to go to the conservatory where
That's
she
where
is.
lives.
Yes.
Yeah, she lives in independent living, and she's 98. So it's a really great story.
Right.
So have you been here from the beginning, Patty, or was
Yes.
this something? Okay, so you started it together.
Joyce and I were in. We both had, I guess, history with healthcare. I worked in healthcare mostly with big companies and software, patient experience kinds of things. And Joyce started her career in social work. So it really was a nice fit.
Oh, yeah.
We're kind of yin and yang because where
Sounds like us.
where she's strong, I'm not, and where I'm strong, she's not. And so we're a good fit for each other. But our common denominator is that we really both just care about people and helping them. And we say a lot that our business is really more like a mission or a ministry because it truly is. I mean, in some cases, we're really helping people add years to their lives. But yeah, that's kind of how we started.
Yeah, I think it was August 2016. I called Patty. I said, hey, I have this business idea. And so we got together. I said, there needs to be more of a personalized touch when families are going through this process of looking for a senior living community because it is so overwhelming, and people usually are stressed when they are going through this whole search because they reach out when there's a crisis usually. So anyway, so we got together and formed and did a lot of research and work before we came up with our name and the whole program
but we really did want to honor Ruby because she's really the reason that it all happened.
Yeah, because you kind of walked in those shoes prior and saw that there was a need for the service. And did something about it.
Even with my own parents, long distance, I was trying to help my sister, but she's the one who was the caregiver, and they suffered with Alzheimer's and dementia and other health issues. So, like Patty said, I was a social worker when I began my career, so I feel like this is a full circle. I'm back to what I love doing, and that's helping people.
Well, and I know you find places, but you do other things that are specific to people too, like help them organize, and if I'm not mistaken, don't you do some other things just by some other resources?
We hardly have time to do. No, we have resources for that. A lot of great resources, and I think I have referred a couple to you all.
You have, actually. Yep, you've helped a couple of my clients, actually. One whose mother was kind of in a crisis situation, and you were able to get them placed somewhere where she got the needed services pretty quickly, and she was very appreciative of that because, like you said, when they're in that crisis mode, you don't even know where to start because you haven't gone down that path before and you don't know what's out there. And then another one just needed help getting her house organized and ready to sell. And so you had a great resource that came over and helped her. And so I think, every time I hear of a family that has a senior that needs some kind of help with something, I always say, call Ruby Care. They can help you.
Yes, absolutely.
It is interesting that it has grown over time, our resource list, because just in this industry, you realize how many people work with seniors and special niche areas, even people that provide services for folks who need massage and they have Alzheimer's. I mean, that's just such a specialized area, but we have resources for that now.
And it's so overwhelming. I mean, I know my mother passed away 2 years ago almost now, and she was caretaker for my dad. So stepping in and just trying to find all those details and weed through everything, and he's got Parkinson's, so a different situation, but it is difficult. It's overwhelming because we've never done this before.
Right.
We're younger. We don't really understand that. So it's nice to have a resource, someone that you can go to and find some answers.
And this is a perfect time for you all to have us on your show. And we're so appreciative of that because families are getting together during the holidays and they're noticing things about their loved ones, their family members, that it's a time that they should start looking and thinking about, what is going to be the next step. A lot of people don't prepare, like we said, until it's crisis mode. And so this is a good time to really start doing a checklist of things. And
well, can y'all share a story or two with us about how this has been significant, how you've seen it change people's lives?
I have one right now that I'm working on. It might even make me cry because she's just the coolest lady. But she, over the summer, and she's only 76, but over the summer she fell in her house and she lived alone and she got trapped between the bed and a piece of furniture. She was actually in her house lying on the floor for 7 days, 7.5 days.
Oh my gosh.
And so, I mean, that's bad enough as it is, right? But it really reduced her mobility, her independence. She was driving at that time, and so now she can't drive because it just took a big toll on her. So I got introduced through a rehab resource. She was having rehab following her hospital stay, which is really common. And anyway, we got connected, and so I take her around. I go pick her up and get her wheelchair and take her to the different places. If there wasn't someone like me, I don't know what she would do. So we're going around and seeing the different communities that are going to be a good fit for her based on her health need, and then also her budget and the geographic location where she wants to be. So we've really developed this friendship through it, which has been great. So that's really impactful on me. Yesterday, we were together yesterday, and she just said, I want to be somewhere close to you because I want you to be able to come and see me. And I said, I do too. I mean, she has nobody in this area. She has no family in this area. So she is just completely reliant on this person who she doesn't even know, to take her around. So I told her, we write a blog called Seniors of Significance. And I told her as soon as we get her situated, she's going to be in my blog, because how significant is she that she was able to rally through 7 days on the floor. And fortunately, she had friends that missed her at church, and they called and did a wellness check on her. But it just was a reminder to me about, just checking on those people that and if you don't hear from them, to get somebody to go and, physically check on them, because she couldn't have had a couple more days there. They really thought she was they called all of her family that was out of state and said, you better get here because I don't think she's going to make it through the night. So it was a very, very significant event, but her story is so hopeful now because she's getting stronger every day, and now she's going to be in a community where people have eyes on her, and she'll get a balanced, nutrition, which is important. And just having that socialization, she's really, really funny, and she just loves to be the life of the party. So I think it'll be good for her to be in a community.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
How seldom do we work with a senior directly? I would say when you say 80-90% of the time we're working with the adult children. And so that makes it a little more unique. And thank goodness Patty's there to help her and drive her around. We're insured for that. So people ask that sometimes, do you really drive people around? Seldom we do that, but there comes a time where you have to. If, we have a release and form that they sign, and that they I'm just blessed that Patty was there to help this lady.
It's funny that somebody asked me the other day, how is your person? And she mentioned something, and I said, we have so many of those every day that I can't even picture the one you're talking about, because it seems like everybody really does have a unique story.
They do.
And either the kids, you were mentioning about your mom passing, and just, we call it well, we don't call it, everybody calls it the sandwich generation, but people who have young kids either at home or, they're still supporting in some manner, maybe they're in college or something, and then they have aging parents that might live with them or just nearby where they're caring for them. So you're struggling to juggle all those things. And like you said, Caralee, there's just sometimes you just don't even know where to start. And I was working with a lady yesterday. She went to her doctor, and the doctor told her to go to these 3 places. Well, they were all places that were not even right for her care. They were just not appropriate level of care. And so you don't know who to rely on. And so, and I think that's really the genius behind what Joyce started, was just because she realized you can't just pick up the phone and get that advice. You have to have people that are working with you through it. And we go and we tour with them, and they'll say, oh, this isn't quite the right fit because I really want this. And so it's just, we're their advocate, and that makes all the difference.
So what's the process if someone were to come to you? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, we initially will meet with them and do an intake or an assessment. It's not a clinical assessment because we're not nurses or specialize in that, but we'll do an intake and find out what their care needs are, their budget, where they would like to live and their interest. And then we'll match them up to the communities. And then we'll set up the tours, and we'll tour with them. And like I said, usually it's the adult kid, and we'll meet them at the communities. And toward the end, after they've narrowed it down to 1 or 2, then they may show their parent. Depends on what level, where they are in their health, needs at the time. So somebody with dementia, that's obviously going to be a lot different than someone that's independent, that can make some decisions, and they just need to have that second set of ears and eyes. And the kid, usually definitely should have the best interest of their parents in mind, and then they'll end up showing their loved one. But we set up the tour with our people and really offer that personalized assistance, and they love it. They so appreciate it. Because we could email them a list of questions to look for and things to ask for, but when you're in that moment talking to the communities, you just go blank, or you don't think of all those questions, and we really do guide them through the process of when to look and have lunch there, or have dinner, try the food, and just meeting certain level of people in the community, like the executive directors or director of nursing, a lot of different avenues that they may not think of asking.
Yeah, they just don't even know what questions to ask.
No,
So.
right. So everything's our questions and lists that we do provide them, and that we go through with each person. Like Patty said, everybody has a unique story, and everybody's story is different. So we customize questions that they should, ask the communities. And if they don't or forget to ask, then we will step in and help them out. But we let the marketers do their job to sell to communities, and we're so blessed around here. There's so many fabulous communities, and it keeps growing. More and more are popping up, and so it's a good thing for the families, because they have a lot of different options.
That's great.
I was going to say something, because Joyce is like the therapist. She's a counselor. Everybody they ask her, she can get people to say anything, really.
I believe
she can pull stuff out.
Stacy and I have known y'all a long time.
Yes, she's a great listener, but she's also a really great, arbitrator, because she's had families where the two sides aren't speaking, and she just brings everybody together and gets them talking and helps the loved one. And sometimes, that it can be contentious, because this person wants this thing and this person wants another. And I feel like you've had several of those, but she's done a really great job in just bringing it all back to why we're here and what's important, and just makes it go really smoothly. And I think that's something too that we bring to the table, is just that sometimes that one voice that can be, in the middle and not on either side.
Really impartial.
Yes. And then also just going and meeting with the family. Sometimes we're that voice to the loved one of this is what we think is best for you. When the daughter can't speak that or the son can't speak that, we can be that person that can say it along with the doctor.
Right.
We like to get the doctor to say it too. But,
Yeah, if it really gets tough, it's best if it has a third party source besides us, like the doctor or something. And we know too, like we were saying, we have a lot of resources. If we know that it's a situation that we need to call in a geriatric care manager, we'll reach out to them because they're expert and trained in that area. So we do reach out.
You guys have experienced a lot of different scenarios.
Oh, yes.
What's one that just stands out that maybe just lights your day up?
Oh, I should have thought about that more. But there are so many every day.
Stories.
Yeah, every day. I don't know. Well, just yesterday, I was helping a family, and I had done all this research, ready to set up the tour. This is not something that's, that's remembrance, but and I talked to the gentleman, the son, and he's like, "Oh, Joyce, I'm so sorry, my father passed last night."
Oh.
So it's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." You're just like, you just want to, reach out to him and hug him and over the phone. Because you just know everything that they've gone through from what they have shared with you previously. Yeah. So that's one of the hardest things. You'll have situations where the family really is looking out for their family, their loved one, and then, it's their time. God has called them home. So,
Yeah, that would be a hard part of the job, I would imagine.
I remember one story Patty has, and she would send me pictures of her client hula hooping.
Yes.
It was the most hilarious thing.
And she actually, that was kind of a story I was thinking of, because she was estranged from her daughter and her son, and I was helping her find a community, and in the middle of that she had to go into the hospital, and I could see that it was going to be pretty serious, and I was able to reach out to the daughter and got them reconnected. And so she got to see her mom before her mom passed, and got to tell her mom she loved her, and actually that daughter just was at my house for Thanksgiving. We have stayed connected, and she'll probably watch this podcast, and so this is for you. You know who you are. But she's a really neat woman, and it affected her too, that was able to happen. And I keep her photo on my computer, because I want that memory of this is why we do what we do, because some days it's really hard. And you worked really hard with a family, and something happens, maybe the person passes, and it's just hard, so sad, and in those instances, and I can look at that photo and just say, okay, this is why we do it.
Something good that comes out.
Yeah, I have a funny story. I was meeting with a financial planner, and he's like, I have a family that's coming in, and I want you to meet with them. But before we get together with them, I want you to give me a trials run with my own parents. So the parents came in, and I did a PowerPoint presentation and all that, and right in the middle of it, I could tell his mother had already done a lot of research, and she started asking me questions. And I said, "Well, are you familiar with a lot of these the terminology in communities I'm talking about?" She said, "Yes." And then she said, "By the way, when can we start looking?" And her son was like floored. He's like, "What? I didn't know you had thought about moving." And so anyway, we went looking like the next day or two, and they found a great little home that was close to where they had a home in Plano before. So anyway, it was a funny story. He still laughs at that story that his parents were my first. Yeah, right. Didn't even know it.
I wonder, how often do people come to you and they don't have family support? How often is that happen?
Oh, yeah.
I would say it's pretty common. It's not the most common of folks that I deal with.
I think Patty's had more of that than me. Yeah, I had a case manager call me and said, this lady doesn't have any family at all. She doesn't have money. But I think just knowing you and your warm heart, that you could relate with her. So I went in and met with her, and she did, share a lot of information, and we weren't able to help her at the moment, but I went immediately where they told me where she lived, because I hadn't been there before. It was an affordable housing place, and I just was so touched by this sweet little lady. She was like 95, and I was worried about her. I'm like, I just wanted to go see. So I went to the community, and I felt so comfortable after leaving there, because you could just tell everyone was warm and they looked after one another. So it made me feel a little bit better that she was in maybe a more secure place than I thought, because of the area of town and stuff. So
I can just see probably a lot of family members just do get overwhelmed and don't know what to do, so they do nothing. You know, I think that.
Well, she didn't have
she
anybody.
didn't have the family.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
You know what I was thinking of is that time that you placed the mom and the daughter.
Oh. That.
Yes. Mom, if you're watching, there's still hope for us.
I know.
Right? Oh, thanks, Patty, for reminding me. Yeah, so I got a call from this daughter and said, I got your name from this church, and anyway, I'd like to meet with you. My mom's in rehab. So I go to the rehab and meet with her, and here she comes out with her cane, and I'm thinking, is that the mom? So anyway, ended up, she was 85 years old. She and her mother were living together. No, the daughter. And the mom was 105.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and they had been living together forever, because the daughter had never married, and the mother, her father had passed, and the mother moved in with her, and they'd been living together 20 years. So the mother fell, the 105-year-old, and the daughter went to help pick her up. They were living at home, and she fell too. And so they couldn't get up. So she was able to crawl to her phone, called 911. They came, and anyway, they wanted to stay together. And the mother, the 105-year-old, she needed a lot more care. So they ended up going to a residential care home, living for a few months before we were able to find them up.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good story.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
And
when she told me about that, and I said, how old is the mother?
I went to, and since then, the mother has passed, and I went to the service, and that was the sweetest thing. But I still keep in touch with the daughter. She's living comfortably, in her community.
Well, I know we're kind of short on our time. This has come by so fast. I love hearing what you're sharing.
I'd like to know also too. Let people know, how do they reach you? Yeah.
Well, and I was going to ask how you get support.
Yeah.
Like how do you get support for what you do financially, and
we're compensated by the communities.
Okay.
So when we make a placement, we are compensated by the communities, which is standard to our industry.
Okay.
So
that keeps it free for
yes,
families to
exactly.
services.
That's right. And to find us, we're at rubycaresenior.com, and then Joyce and I are both on there on our website with our phone numbers, and
awesome.
so
somebody's needing help, they just reach out and call you.
Yes, we have a Facebook page and Instagram and Twitter. We do all that. We do all the social media stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, you ladies are doing an amazing job, amazing work, much needed. And it takes a special kind of person to do what you're doing, and y'all are just excelling at it. So
thank you.
Thank you.
100%.
We
We're
love
so
it.
glad to
Love
have
it.
you on today to hear more about Ruby Care. So thank you, rubycareseniors.com. And we're glad to have you. Look forward to seeing you on our next show. I'm Caralee.
I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.
Thank you for joining us on North Texas Networkers.
Visit our website, mariposagroupdfw.com. That's MARIPOSA Group dfw.com for more information about the show and other resources. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.